Welcome to Rotten Taste, where we talk about movies less than 50% on Rotten Tomatoes and kind of tell you what we think of them. Today, we are looking at the 1989 movie Roadhouse, and I have to say it like that
Roadhouse.
because of Family Guy. I'm sorry, but anyhow, Roadhouse starring
Roadhouse.
Patrick Swayze, and it's only
Mm.
37% on Rotten Tomatoes. The
Mm.
movie's called Roadhouse, but realistically, to me, it should just be called Bar Fights the Movie, um, which is basically all that goes on.
Wait. No. Bar fights and ridiculous explosions.
Oh yeah, that's the second
Like,
half. Oh,
the explosions were insane in this movie and surprising that they came out of nowhere. Like, and they were so like staged that I was like, I have to wonder how much of this movie's budget went to their pyrotechnics. It was absolutely crazy. But yeah, you're right. Bar fights, the
the
movie.
movie. That's basically what it should be called. So
Yeah.
I personally have not seen this movie probably since I was like 14, 15 years
Oh,
old, and
yeah,
I only
me
remember
too.
a few parts. But this is the movie you suggested. Before we get
Hmm.
into the bulk of this movie, why did you feel like this would make a good episode for us?
I mean, this is going to be a controversial take, and maybe you can kind of tell me otherwise, but I don't know if there's a better Patrick Swayze movie, and that's how I was going into this. As a kid, it had everything that I wanted in a movie. Although, same as you, I didn't see it too much, but like when I would see it like on late night cable. But
Yeah.
as I said earlier, it had explosions. It had a ridiculous amount of violence
Yep.
that just kind of came out of nowhere. And then there were some like kind of like romantic scenes and like scenes that
That
as
came
a
out of nowhere to me.
it just like everything in this movie, just like
Yeah.
everything in this movie. And you know what? As a younger kid, I was like, wow, this checks off all the boxes of what I want to see late night with my parents not around.
So it's funny that you mentioned that this is the best Patrick Swayze movie. This sandwich, no, I mean, for a male perspective, it's this,
Yes.
but maybe for me, Point Break. But that was
Mm,
afterwards. That might be the only one. But this actually was after Dirty Dancing and right before Ghost. Two of his more popular
wow.
roles with the lady.
Yeah.
Yes, that was
Yeah.
weird to me because I think he had
What
was
a
it Red
ride.
Dawn or something right before that when he was,
Yep, he did.
but anyhow, obviously we know his career, but this was peak Patrick Swayze
Hmm. Oh, it certainly
between
is.
his two. So it was a weird sandwich of two other ones. The cameos, I'm like, oh, that's right, Sam Elliott's in this movie. I'm like, wait, Terry Funk? Like I forgot Terry Funk
Yeah.
even had like a small role. I'm just like, yeah, throw this guy around.
Young Terry Funk. Oh my God, he was like he looked like in such good shape.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so this movie starts off. Patrick Swayze's just, I think they call him the cooler or whatnot, but he's kind of overseeing, one bar. And this guy says, hey, what would it
Hmm.
take for you to come work for me in this, hick town? And then he's like, 5,000 night or 5,000 up front, 500 a night. I'm like,
Like it starts off like bar rescue, and then goes into something much different from a tonality scale. Like it goes from bar rescue to like crazy ass martial arts action movie with explosions. His whole like character arc was that he was running away from something he'd like killed a man in Memphis or some shit, right?
correct. And it was
Um,
self defense, but yes, he was living with
he's trying
that.
to run
Yeah.
away from his past, but like he definitely rips out a guy's throat towards the end of this movie. And if you're looking at like the cover of this movie and you're like seeing trailers, you just don't expect that this guy has some sort of secret martial art technique that kills people.
Well, he was doing, what I like to call the Mr. Miyagi techniques in the fields, the breathing techniques, and people are just watching him with his shirt
Yes.
off. But anyhow,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
so he's trying to basically clean up this bar. Let's
Yeah.
get into the heart of this plot right now. And he's firing
Huh.
people left and right. He's, it's basically, yeah, this is my way or the highway kind of thing,
Bar rescue.
And he's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, we sell alcohol, not drugs here. You're out. You don't hit me with Terry. You're out. Fires Terry. And I forgot about that. I'm like, oh, Terry Funk's gone, who returns as like a villain later on in this movie.
Yes.
How is
Yeah.
this? I gotta ask. It's 37%, and this movie is a hit or miss with people. Because basically you know what you're getting with this. If you know going in, that this is just basically a stupid bar fight movie, you're gonna
Yeah.
enjoy it. But as you said, if you're looking at the cover and you're looking at the trailer, and then all of a sudden all this shit is happening that you don't expect.
To me the thing that's craziest about this movie is that like it's fucking really good. until it's not really good. Like it's like everything's going really well, and you're like, yeah, like Patrick Swayze's coming in, and it's like he's got these ideas, and he's like cleaning up the place. All of a sudden, they're wearing like corporate like red polos and stuff like that, and they're like, yeah, like this is a professional establishment. And then it just goes to like he is just taking on this criminal organization, and the whole time there are no police officers. There are so many bodies that like are in this movie, and there's so much violence. And very rarely have I ever seen the police. I think they only show up at the end, and everyone's like, after everyone has shot and killed the man in cold blood, all the business owners, the police show up and go, well, not
What
much we can
happened
do
here?
here. Yeah, and they're
Did you
like,
see
nope, didn't
anything?
see shit.
No, I didn't see anything. Did you see anything? No. And then the big fat guy is just like, a polar bear fell on me.
Sam Elliott was killed on a bar. His body was left there. No investigation. Do we
No
even know
call
what
to
happened to
cops.
his body? I don't even know if he was buried. I don't even know if he had a funeral. For all I know, they flushed him down the toilet in the back. Basically, that's how the plot was. It was like, Sam Elliott is dead. Never addressed again. No
Yeah, and then he goes,
consequences, no nothing.
yeah, he's got a knife in his chest, left on a bar. And here's the other thing, talking about the end, or finding, Patrick Swayze finds Sam Elliott. He didn't know which one, with his girlfriend or his friend, was going to die. And then obviously he runs off because he's like, this is it. I'm going to kill this motherfucker. Then I'm like, to your point, like, okay, the body was left there. What other workers at this bar, what would they think when they just walked in?
And that's how their shift started. There was just a dead Sam Elliott on the bar.
And like,
We'll
well,
never
I guess
know.
we got to mop this.
Well, we will never know. Like, we will never know what happened to his body. We will never know what happened to Sam Elliott. I was like, this movie would have been awesome as an episode of Bar Rescue minus John Taffer. Like, if it was just Patrick Swayze going around to bars and, like, teaching customer service and doing all stuff, this movie would have been top 10 movie of all time. And then it just turned into fucking, I guess, Over the Top kind of had a scene like that, too, where all of a sudden it's just he's beating people up,
It
throwing
flipped
guys
the
through
switch.
fucking windows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the beginning of the movie, Patrick Swayze's at, and I forget which town he's at, but a very, kind of upscale bar. A guy kind of picks a fight, and he's like, no. And then I was like, I've always wanted to test you. And just stabs Patrick Swayze in the fucking arm. And he's just like, nope, that doesn't hurt. And if you notice, until the doctor kind of notices the scar, like every time he's shirtless, scar's gone. He doesn't have like a night, this is like not even a couple weeks afterwards. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm Patrick Swayze. I can heal this shit up real quick. And I'm just like, wait. I'm like, didn't you get stabbed in the arm? Like, there's not, until, like I said, they needed the close up.
It's amazing when you think about this movie as being like NYU student who majored in philosophy turns into a karate master who changes bars and then changes the hearts of a town. Murders the main gangster. Well, has a part in it in cold blood, and everything works out. He was only rewarded for his grotesque, violent act. So because he's got abs.
He does. And there was a lot of those abs.
It sure was. To your earlier point, and I made a point saying this might be his best movie, but I mean I'm pretty sure Point Break is. Even though it has Keanu Reeves in it, I'm willing to walk that back and be like, you know what, you're right, Chad. You make a good point. I think Point Break is more quality in this.
If you want an action movie, you just want all out adrenaline, this is the movie for you. If you wanted the Patrick Swayze that was in between Dirty Dancing and Ghost, and you want a nice love story, that ain't happening. They put a love story. She's just there just to take off his shirt, quick love scene, and that is it.
Yeah.
And then
that is literally all she adds to it.
Yeah, that's all she is in this movie. Thank you, Kelly Lynch, for your contributions. And,
That's all she did. Yeah, and Sam Elliott, like, that's it, because Sam Elliott is trying to get on that ass, too, so.
Yeah. Did you find that weird, by the way? When they're partying on that three, and he's dancing there, but not just, provocatively with his best friend's girl. Not really making a move, but checking out her ass in front of him too. I'm like, I'm like, he can get away with maybe a little, but it was just that dance. I'm like, this is kind of weird, right?
There's so much unexplained backstory that like would be fascinating for how everybody got together in this particular circumstance and these events. Because wow.
Actually, one of my favorite characters I forget Jeff Healey, I think that's his name if I got that correctly. The blind musician who was actually
Yeah.
blind in real life. Like he was just
Hmm.
so cool, and the music was so freaking good in this movie too. And I think that just helped. All of a sudden, there's scenes where they're playing whole songs while a bar fight's going, and he's just because
Yeah.
he's behind the cage, like I'm just gonna mind my own business. But I kind of read up that he was blind in real life, and he had a little successful of a career, and that's how he really played guitar. He put it on his lap and
Yeah.
played it like that. So I thought that was cool. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add about this film, outside of, I like we said, it's basically should have been called Bar Fights the movie, but
Bar Fights the movie. Also, Crimes Are Okay. Like that's what this movie should be called.
yes,
Crimes are okay so long as you are Patrick Swayze.
yes. Anyhow, thank us for joining us in this latest edition of Rotten Taste, where
Thank you.
we
Yes.
tell us what you thought about Roadhouse. Did you actually like the story?
Roadhouse.
Was there a story? Was there anything to us, or did you just like Patrick Swayze's abs? Me like pretty much probably any female that watched this movie.
Yes.
Uh, until next time, as Swayze said in this movie, just be nice, people.